presents and insults.
Oh my god. You're gonna get so many mean comments for that.
Especially you who says that voice is so annoying. Well, sucks to be you. Welcome back to Krown's magical Happy Death Cave.
Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy new day. Such a nice Wednesday morning over here as we get through the hump day. Everyone's about to get humped as we just got humped from some nice news of potential World War III last night, of which luckily, so far, nothing has really come about it. But I wanted to speak about that a little bit on this particular video and the implications of what we saw in the last 24 hours alongside a follow-up on the very high-term timeframes, one of which is going to be confirmed potentially as soon as tonight upon closure. And then, of course, a follow-up on the other two-day timeframe analysis. And then, of course, the short-term timeframe as well. Anyways, other than that, let's just jump right into it right here. And I wanted to kind of start off actually with what happened last night. So if you are unawares, the news, the old news, right, is that Russia or Ukraine, one of the two, basically had a missile strike or something of the sort in Poland, a NATO member. Now, here's the thing. Nothing has really happened as far as markets' response to that. There was an initial dumpola, but it was quickly recovered, and there was no real continuation as of right now. So here's the thing. In general, major bull markets, things will pump absolutely incredibly on any sort of hopium news, and vice versa for downside markets as well. So I thought that that was rather interesting that we didn't really see any sort of major break upon the news last night, when the markets essentially just had an excuse to dump off if they wanted to. There was a quick downside move, but quickly recovered as well, and we're more or less unchanged as of right now. Anyways, that is not necessarily going to fit too well into the analysis, but I just want to speak about that very quickly there. And let's just jump right into the highest term time frame that is closing the soonest, and dare I say the most important chart as of right now. It is the 5-day chart. We're looking at 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum. There is a signal brewing here, and it could be confirmed as soon as tonight upon closure. So what is the signal essentially? Well, it is a volatility represented by this indicator here at the BBWP, getting down to extreme lows, full contraction essentially. Anything below 15 percentile does it for me. And in this case, over the past 4 to 5 years now, anytime that we've seen an expansion phase from those extreme lows, it's led to an average move of about a little bit over 42%, done over the course of about 37 days. And the first standard deviation, where we expect 68% of the results to fall between, would give a range between 35 and a quarter all the way up to 49 and a half. Here's the thing, and here's why it's relevant. The 5-day pivot is currently at 16,800. That is to say that the 5-day stochastic oscillator will turn down if Bitcoin closes below 16,800 tonight. This is on spot price action, by the way, so do be aware of that. And I should also explain why the 5-day stochastic is relevant within this particular setup, and it is because the direction of the 5-day stochastic coupled with that volatility expansion phase has actually been perfect over the past 5 years in getting the direction of that next major move. Now, what you will very likely notice on a lot of these is that there is a turning of the stochastic oscillator, as you can see down here, basically right after the volatility expansion begins. So in this case, that would still suggest that risk is to the downside. If Bitcoin closes below 16,800 tonight, then we will officially see this cross to the downside. And well, if we see volatility expansion alongside that, that is going to be a damn good indication that the next move, the next major slide to the downside, is likely to occur over this next month or so, basically into the end of the year here. So of course, excuse me, when we look at the average move and we look at the first standard deviation, we can kind of get a generalized view of, the areas of interest upon continuation. I'll first do this to the downside. Of course, can Bitcoin recover itself before end of day here? Yeah, definitely possible. But until we get the volatility expansion component of this fully confirmed, it's not necessarily a confirmed signal. It's just, it's a potential, which is probably going to play into the 2-day signal, which, it is more likely to resolve to the downside than the upside. But in this case, let's just say that it theoretically does resolve to the downside. What would be the areas of interest? Well, 35% puts you down around about, let me actually do it from the proper area here. Okay, there we go. would put you at around the mid $13,000 territory. Now, of course, that can be coupled up with the 2-day time frame signal, which we've been looking at on this channel for a while now. I won't go over the full explanation of it today, but we'll just briefly check in on it a little bit later. But that would obviously be within the same vicinity, between about 13,000 even to 13,500. And then, of course, if we were to go for the full on average at about 42 or just over 42%, that would put Bitcoin at about, let me actually do this right yet again. Let's see, there we go. Jesus, can I actually get this properly? Okay, I'm very OCD about this in case you haven't noticed. Yes, this would put Bitcoin at about just around $11,500. Again, very much in alignment with the 2-day time frame signal on CME. And then, of course, if it were to go for the full, the full edge of the first standard deviation, that'd be about 49.5%. That put Bitcoin, well, obviously below $11,000, which I don't think that we need to go over necessarily at this exact moment. There'd be an order of operations beforehand. But again, if Bitcoin closes today's daily below 16,800, which right now it's a little bit less than $100 below, with 13 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds left to go, then probabilities will twist to the downside for continuation basically into the end of the year to the downside. Now, what I think is also relevant to this equation is the 2-day time frame signal over here. This one's relevant for CME, and it is a different time frame, and it is also a different volatility component, of which we actually already did have the signal fully fired off. It gave us that first targeted region where Bitcoin has found a low thus far at $15,000, and it basically has the same sort of areas of interest upon continuation should we see continuation. And currently, the momentum pivot to the downside is basically just below $20,000. So do keep these numbers in mind. These are, again, relevant for the higher term timeframes. Now we will go into the shorter term timeframes. It's very similar to yesterday, actually. Not much change there, but I suspect that it's interesting nonetheless. So in this case, first and foremost, what is the short-term time frame range? Well, to the upside, and this is specific to CME, not to spot price action, but to CME, which there's about a $200 differential between the two right now, $200 discount for CME. And in this case, 16,950 is going to be the range highs versus the range lows, which are essentially 15,400 or so. Here's the thing, though. If Bitcoin does confirm a local high on the short-term timeframes, basically any time frame, full hour and under, then we will naturally confirm hidden bearish divergence. And in this case, we can see over here that it is available on the full hour and even all the way up to a 6-hour time frame as well. So again, that will be confirmed upon closure below 16,300. We've kind of had a few of these, of these scares over the past couple of days here. Personally speaking, I think this is more of a formality, and that the prior signal is still very much, there essentially. But if you do see that confirmed, that would very likely imply another move back down to the range lows. And at that point, does Bitcoin break the range lows and then start to play into that continuation that we just looked at on the other higher term time frame setups? Potentially, yes, which would be confirmed with, closures below 15,400 or so. Should also be known that currently we are still seeing a contraction in volatility on the 6-hour and even the 4-hour time frame. So this, does look first and foremost as a corrective move. Corrective within the current context of the trend would, imply short-term bounce and probably another track to the downside. Again, I look at that as fully confirmed below 16,300. Let's also couple that up with the direction of stochastic momentum on the 12-hour time frame, which is currently pivoted at 16,150. Again, a corrective signal right here, and this one's actually going to be closing in 1 hour and 6 minutes and 47 seconds. So this pivot is going to move, significantly. It's going to move. It's very likely going to change upon the next closure. The question is, does it move closer to current price action or further away? Which, if it moves further away, that's probably a point in the case of the Bulaw's chord. If it moves closer, well, not so much. The 6-hour time frame is going to be pivoted at 16,150. The 4-hour time frame is going to be pivoted at 16,750. So obviously Bitcoin's $200 below that right now or so. Again, 1 hour left on that one basically. And then the hourly is actually down right now, pivot at the same number or around the same number as the 4-hour time frame. So again, a small bifurcation between the higher and the lower there in this case. But if we do start to see all of those get on the same side, probably around that next 12-hour closure, that would be a damn good indication that, risk is to the downside. But here's the thing, going back to the range highs, range lows over here, we've already spoken about, what a resolution to the downside would mean in the short term. Let's talk about what a resolution to the upside would mean in the short term. So any sort of could we do this on an hourly? Yeah, probably an hourly would work. Maybe I move the pivot up to like 17,250, or in a 4-hour time frame, the pivot would be 19,650. Closures above there very likely does beget another try somewhere back around the range highs between the 0.5 fib and the 618 fib right here. Those are the major areas for me to kind of declare, to kind of say that the bearish hold on price action, the what's the right word I'm looking for, the bears being in control starts to dissipate on the higher term time frames. This is obviously so. If Bitcoin were to close a daily above 18,500 or a weekly above 18,000 bucks, then I would be on the side of saying that, hey, higher term timeframes are switching around here. Very likely we're going to be looking at another move back up to the, well, probably 20,000 plus or so, and we can look at this as a bit of a bear trap right here. But for right now, risk remains to the downside, especially as long as Bitcoin's below the short-term time frame range highs. And did I speak about what I'd be looking for if it breaks above the short-term time frame range highs? Yeah, I'd be looking for some sort of a move. Yeah, basically somewhere around the 0.5, maybe even the 618 right there. And then the question is, does like a daily or weekly close above those pivots? If it does, then well, the Boolaw's got some hopium yet again. Anyways, I think that's a good place to be leaving off on a particular video like this. Nice and short and sweet, hopefully easily digestible here. Keep those areas in mind. And again, the big focus is on the 5-day time frame tonight. If we again see this one start to see real volatility expansion, which is not quite there just yet, that's probably going to be indicative of the next major move. I didn't even speak about the upside targets if it were to happen there, but I'll just briefly go over it. A little bit of hopium to end off the video. What does 42% look like to the upside? Yeah, would put Bitcoin somewhere around about 23,000 or so. So, if Bitcoin were to start to reclaim 18,000 on a weekly or 18.5 on a daily, I'd probably be looking for a general move somewhere between like 22, 23 or so in the following month. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. I hope that was in some way helpful. I want to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.